So thank you for visiting the site. I'm here to try and explain all things damp, to try and reduce the number of people that make the wrong choices about damp proofing treatment. Really, damp proofing should come from solving the root cause of damp, not from blocking dampness coming through walls. And this is an example. Here we've got dampness on an external wall. It's actually from all the way from the top down, or you could say it's from the bottom up, but actually in this case it does come from the top. Most damp will be drawn down through gravity to the base of a wall. There's a brown staining. Brown staining tells me that water is passing through building material. It picks up the pigmentation from brickwork and it causes the brown staining. So that either means a leak, a water leak, or penetrating damp. That's rainwater penetrating damp. And in this case, the most likely thing is rainwater penetrating damp. It's been there for a long time, from memory, about 14 years. And there's been a lot of interventions from builders, etc. in the past who've all said that they've solved the problem. But clearly it's ongoing. The wall is damp, a damp meter is high, and this is a classic case of actually penetrating damp. Now, when we go upstairs, immediately above, we can see there's plants growing in the wall. Plants will only grow in a wall if there's sufficient moisture going into the wall. That means that there is a source of water, excess water, not just normal rainwater. There's also moss at the base of the wall. Looking up, you can see there's a gap in the guttering. So water is coming through. This is wrought iron guttering and it's rusted through. It's probably over 100 years old. So this is the damaged guttering, and somebody's tried to repair it, but ultimately needs to be replaced. Also, the downpipe was blocked with moss. There's a lot of moss growing on the roof. It's not unusual for it to be blocked. I took out as much moss as I could do, and the water is now flowing correctly. But there are about 6 or 7 roofs worth of water coming from the left-hand side. So when it's even partially blocked with moss during a heavy rainstorm, it's going to overflow to the rest of the gutter on the other side, and obviously more water will go down. So it's the combination of the two. Obviously the root cause is the hole in the gutter, but the moss is exacerbating the effect. And it is possible that some water is passing down the outside of the gutter because the bitumen felt has perished around there. It's difficult to be sure. So 2 essential things to do. You can do a short-term fix with the hole, fill it up with mastic, which I think somebody's tried to do in the past. But ultimately that gutter needs to be replaced. It's going to just continue to perish over time. And you know, over probably 10 properties is relatively inexpensive. So there's also, as a completely separate item, there is dampness at the base of the wall. They're unconnected. I measured the humidity in the subfloor and it was normal levels. On the other side of this we have a bathroom, and in the bathroom there's a solid floor, or not a solid floor, there's a tiled floor, and you'll see that as the rooms are adjoining rooms. You've got a natural source of vapour in the room, and you've got the cold water pipe. You've got the water pipe for the heating system going in the subfloor. So it will cause energy loss, heat loss, and therefore that radiator, when not in use, will cause slight heat loss. Plus you've got the cistern, and obviously you've got cold water going into the cistern, so that causes condensation there. And the bathroom extractor fan wasn't working. It was hardly working at all, actually. I think it was running at 3 litres a second. It should be at 15 litres a second. And you can see lots of mould on the ceiling, and there's that cold water pipe from above, which you can just simply insulate to reduce the amount of vapour condensing on it. You've got to be aware that no one's upstairs, they won't be heating it, and so it'll be relatively cold. So looking in through the grill, so those grills reduce the amount of airflow anyway. It's better to have a modern sort of louver flapper system. But you can see that's a backflow shutter, and it's been forced closed. It's damaged backflow shutter. I pushed it open, and I cleared out all the dust in the back and increased the speed by about 100%. However, it's not enough, and B, I recommend you have a continuous flow bathroom extractor fan in a ground floor bathroom where you haven't got enough ventilation anyway. They just constantly blow air out at a few liters per second, with a boost function when you put the light on, or there's high humidity. I wouldn't have a backflow shutter. I would use the louver flap system. That stops wind blowing in, but it's sufficient to allow the air to blow out. So very simple fix that will the amount of vapor that's been removed from the bathroom. Also, make sure to keep the bathroom door closed. So it's running about 8 liters a second, so more or less double what it was before. There are also issues. The kitchen doesn't have an externally ducted extractor fan. That extractor fan is just a recycling, no vapors being removed. So cook with tops and pots and pans and turn the heat down, which I understand you do. The kitchen, I don't believe has a door, at least it's kept open. Also, you're drying clothes in that spare bedroom, which most people will do. It's fine, but you need to use a dehumidifier to remove, and it needs to be a 20 litre plus dehumidifier. This one, I actually calculated it afterwards. You see it's 0.58 litres per hour multiplied by 24 hours a day, so that's equivalent to I think 14 litres per day. It should be liters a day. So this is the thermal imaging camera to just identify, to look at the heat. I will now show you the section on data loggers. It's summertime, so you're not going to get a lot of really useful information this time of year. It's in winter, but it shows you how to use it. It's an automated AI system that I've set up for everyone to use, clients as well as everyone. So here's the information from the data loggers. Unfortunately, it's missing data. The bedroom lost data from before the survey, and the bathroom doesn't have data from after the survey, so there's no overlap, so you're getting no dew point differential, and I can't change the temperature because by doing so it compares the two and doesn't give you much data. So anyway, this is what is provided. This is the green line is the surface relative humidity. It should be higher because actually the temperature of the surface was lower, and therefore the surface relative humidity would be higher. It would be actually 80% if the data was correct. This line here, the blue line, is the dew point, and it's more or less in line with the external dew point, which shows us very good ventilation around this period. It's slightly higher, presumably because there's increase. Well, actually, it's just consistent internally, but it's the outside dew point that drops, and presumably you had the windows closed at that stage. It was in the evening, actually, of the 26th. The external temperature had dropped at that stage to something like 13, so probably you closed the windows. This time of year you actually can't tell as much, but the whole thing that you need to do is to keep the internal dew point below the outside temperature, which you have done for most of the time. It's just this one small period, and that's presumably because of a drop in the outside temperature rather than anything internally. But what you just have to remember is to increase ventilation and dehumidification to just make sure you don't have periods when there is excess internal dew point compared to the outside temperature, which means you'll have excess vapor. Anyway, overall, the primary issue was the water passing through the building material. Everything was made worse by insufficient ventilation from the bathroom and an overall insufficient ventilation in the property. Most of the condensation would have taken place in winter, which we're not really showing at this time of year. Thank you very much indeed. And this will solve your damp issues.